los triángulos amorosos. Siempre un juego en el que al menos uno va a salir lastimado. Si no es que todos. Uno de los triángulos más famosos es el de Justin Bieber, Selena Gómez y Hailey Baldwin, ahora Hailey Bieber. Supongo que saben que estos tres tienen historia y se las conté en este video de Justin y Selena. Está toda la historia de Justin y Selena, así que si no lo han visto, se los dejo por aquí arriba. Esa es la parte 2 del de la vida de Selena Gómez. Así que bueno, llegamos acá al 2022 y todavía seguimos hablando de este asunto. Y no me sorprende que nosotros sigamos hablando de esto, porque bueno, contamos historias acá, pero que ellos sigan hablando de esto, wow. Obviamente Hailey ha pasado por muchísimo acoso cibernético, por bullying, y es bastante triste, la verdad. Y obvio, Selena también, porque Hailey también tiene sus fans y también dicen que ella se hace la víctima, etc. Pero bueno, ahora que va a salir el documental de Selena Gómez en Apple TV, Hailey decidió ir a contar su verdad en el podcast Call Her Daddy, original de Spotify. ¿Recuerdan al que fue Jamie Lynn? Bueno, ese. Y la gente está diciendo que lo hace por sabotear a Selena, pero la realidad es que yo creo que los Biebers están un poco asustados de lo que puede pasar si esto se vuelve a encender, porque al parecer se ha calmado un poco, y lo que están haciendo es tratar de apagar o apaciguar un fuego antes de que se encienda. Sinceramente, esto debe ser decisión del equipo de marketing de Hailey como la mejor estrategia para ella, porque además está empezando su negocio, su carrera se está expandiendo y obviamente ella necesita la simpatía del público. Además que bueno, ella tiene derecho a contar su verdad. También vamos a ir analizándolo todo. No me odien porque sé que quisieran ver la entrevista completa, pero si no hacemos cortes me bajan el video de YouTube y recemos para que igual no lo bajen, ¿no? Porque lo estoy grabando con mi cámara. Así que dicho esto, empecemos.
My personality is very like, I don't do well with confrontation. I don't like to confront awkward situations. I'm trying to work on it. I'm trying to be better at that. But I never want to I've always been the type of person where I don't want to end things on a sour note with a person, because especially if there's someone in an industry where I have to see them, or if we're gonna be out somewhere and I gotta see you, I don't want to walk into a room and feel like I have beef with someone. That stresses me out big time crazy. Even if it's so you can stick up for yourself. Yeah, we're working on that today. Yeah.
Como pudieron ver, dice que no quiere tener problemas con alguien, mucho más si ese alguien es de la industria y se lo tiene que encontrar. Obviamente Alex lo toma por el lado de Selena y obvio yo también pensé que era una indirecta. Parte de lo que quería decir tenía que ver con eso, obviamente. Y luego en lo de que hoy van a trabajar en aprender a defenderse ella misma, eso es súper obvio que se refería a todo este asunto con Selena.
When is going to be a good moment for Hailey to just kind of speak her truth? And you've done it a couple times on the internet, which I think people were like, oh fuck yes.
Based on what you're saying, one of the I think issues with that is that then you get stuck having to explain yourself for every little thing. And I had to get over that because I was in a place at one point where I felt like I wanted to explain the narrative and explain myself, and that's also exhausting. So if it's every single time I do an interview, or if I say something and there's gonna be something that people are why would she say that? Or she's wrong for saying that, or that doesn't make sense. You said marriage is hard work, and then I said that and everybody was like, that's not a good sign if you think that it's hard. It's no matter what I say, I'm always gonna have to be explaining myself to people, which is why I actually hate doing interviews.
En esta parte me parece que tiene razón, la gente ama tomar hasta el mínimo detalle para decir que no son felices. Obviamente creen que ella no merece a Justin y les encanta hacer videos comparando ambas relaciones, sobre todo en Tik Tok, tipo, ¿cómo sonreía Justin con Selena? Ahora ¿cómo sonríe con Hailey? He visto cosas como que llegaron los Biebers felices como siempre, obviamente irónico. Y la verdad es que si tienen 4 años juntos, pues algo ahí tiene que estar funcionando. El matrimonio y la convivencia en general, las relaciones son trabajo duro. Y si no estás claro de eso, tus relaciones no van a durar.
He's my best friend, I love coming home to him, but yeah, it takes work because I'm 25 years old and I have a life and I have a career and I have my own friends. So trying to balance making my wants and needs and hopes and dreams work well meshing my life with another human who has his hopes and dreams and career, and like we're busy people and we want to be in a marriage, so we're making it work, and sometimes it's hard. How does that not make sense?
People don't want it to make sense.
Yeah.
People really want that statement to be like, the marriage is ending, like here we go.
Oh, but people have been saying that since the beginning, so that's why at this point I was more sensitive about it. I don't really feel sensitive about it now because I'm just like, totally. No matter what I say, it's like, the marriage is ending. Like, every single time I say something
like, here we go.
about my own relationship, it's like, there's something wrong with it. So it's like, I just don't care. People have been saying this now for 4 years.
What are the best parts about being married to Justin?
Well, I think the best parts are that he's my best friend, and there's nothing better than being with the person that makes you smile the most, makes you laugh the most. Like, he's just literally the best human to me ever. And I think that he's a person who has been through a lot and shouldn't have gotten to the other side of a lot of what he's been through, and he has, and he's overcome so many different things in his life for being famous so young. And the fact that he's as normal as he is, I've known him for a very long time. We were friends for a long time before anything else, and like, I just love him. Obviously he's gone through phases in his life where he was being, you know, a little out there. I don't want to say like fuck boy because it's like not, yeah, but like yes and no. I don't know how to describe it, but like he was just in a different space in his life and was like, I think ultimately when people are like acting out, it's just because they're hurting, and he was just in a space in his life. I mean, we're all hurting every single day, but I think sometimes we go through a season where it's like we're hurting a lot more, we're going through a lot more, so we're just a different version of ourselves that's not really who we are. But like to me, he's just the best, the most fun. Like, I have the most fun with him. He understands me more than anybody ever has in my whole life, and I think that goes both ways, and he's just my guy.
Me encantó que fuera sincera y admitiera que en alguna etapa de la vida Justin era un fuckboy, porque es obvio que lo era, porque muchas fans no quieren verlo y lo defienden como si él no supiera lo que estaba haciendo, incluso cuando el mismo Justin lo ha admitido. Creo que esta es una etapa de la vida de muchos hombres, sobre todo cuando son muy jóvenes y maduros, y obviamente con ese nivel de fama y dinero, pues se te sube un poco la cabeza cuando eres un adolescente. Pero la gente puede crecer, no hace falta justificar todo lo que hace alguien. La gente crece, evoluciona y ya está. Y para los que no sepan qué significa este término, pues es cuando un hombre solo busca mujeres por sexo, o tú lo llamas para tener encuentros. Una especie de amigo con derecho, pero no solo tuyo, sino que de medio mundo. Él anda con todas. Otra cosa que dice Hailey es que la gente le molesta mucho que ella hable de Justin. Básicamente creen que lo hace para ganar fama, y lo que dice es que ¿cómo no quieren que hable de él si es su esposa? Tiene su apellido, viven juntos, su vida está completamente mezclada, y obviamente hay gente a la que le va a dar curiosidad y le van a preguntar por él, y viceversa. Y es que es imposible a veces que el tema no salga en conversaciones casuales, y es lógico. Es raro tener una pareja y no mencionarlo.
From your point of view, can you explain why the internet was so angry over your engagement to Justin?
First of all, I think one thing is that we're both really young. I think honestly that's for starters, which I totally understand. When we got engaged, I was 21 and he was 24. Yeah, 24 and 21. I personally never thought I was going to get married that young. Like, I always thought I would be maybe getting married now, and I'm 25 now, and I still think I'm really young. I think the timing was obviously very rapid and very fast, which now being 4 years past that, looking back on it, I totally get it. I'm like, yeah, that seemed really drastic and really crazy but that was what we felt was a decision between the two of us, and it felt correct for the two of us at the time, and clearly we were right, because here we are 4 years later. And I think just given the timeline of like where he was at before we got back together and what was going on, and there was just a lot happening.
Yeah.
But I will say too, like, the only people that really know the truth of the situation and what the timeline really was and how it happened and how it went down are like me and him. Perception is a really tricky thing because when you're watching something from the outside, you can see it one way when it may not really be the reality of what happened behind closed doors. And that's a big challenge, I think, of being somebody who is in the spotlight or being famous, is that I know how we got to where we got, period. Like, I just know how it happened. I was there, and I was living it every day. So there's just, yeah, there's a lot that I can understand why people were so like, what is going on? Like, this seems crazy.
Ajá. Ahora vamos a lo que todos queremos saber. El tema de Selena.
And I had been involved with him since I was 18. The timeline also that I think sometimes is in question of like us getting together and getting engaged and him having been spending time with his ex before that. This is so crazy. I've literally never talked about this ever. I understand, again, how it looks from the outside, and there's a lot of perception there, but that was a situation where I know for a fact that it was the right thing for them to close that door. They were not in a relationship at that time, but of course, there's a very long history there, and it's not my relationship. It has nothing to do with me, so I respect that a lot, but I know that it closed a chapter, and I think it was the best thing that could have happened for him to move on and be engaged and get married and like move on with his life in that way. And it's hard for me to talk about this because I don't want to talk on either one of their behalf, again, because it was their relationship, and I honestly respect that very deeply. But I just know what was going on when we got back together, and I know what had to happen for that to come back together in a healthy way. And I think it was the most healthy, mature decision that he could have made, and I respect that. As a woman, I would never want to get into a relationship with someone and be engaged to them and be getting married to them and think in the back of my mind, I wonder, like, if that was really, like, closed for you, and, like, and I know for a fact that the reason we were able to get back together was because it was very much completely closed, and that is respectful to me.
O sea que lo que Hailey nos está diciendo es que para el momento en donde vimos a Justin y a Selena juntos, cuando les tomaron estos videos con las bicicletas después de todo lo que pasó Selena con lo de su trasplante, básicamente ellos estaban pasando tiempo juntos, mas no habían vuelto. O sea, eso es lo que entiendo. ¿Qué opinan ustedes de esto? Porque la verdad es que cuando tienes tanta historia con alguien, no es necesario que te diga, ¿quieres ser mi novia? Por favor. Y según lo que ha dicho Selena en su música, ellos estaban juntos. La realidad es que uno tiene una relación con la gente con la que comparte, de cualquier tipo. Entonces, según Hailey, el asunto entre ellos era sin compromisos. ¿Qué piensan de esto? Medio raro.
Take me through how your husband's past relationship still to this day affects what people are saying about you and to you on the internet.
Well, I think like one of the things that we already just covered is that like the timeline of things, and like a lot of the hate and the perpetuation comes from like, oh, you stole him. And I guess maybe that just comes from like the fact that they wished that like he had ended up with someone else, and that's fine. Like, you can wish that all you want, but that's just not the case.
In December of 2020, a person posted a video encouraging haters to comment on your Instagram live with nasty messages, announcing their allegiance for Justin's ex, and just like fully harassing you on your live. Mm-hmm. What do you remember feeling on that Instagram live when you saw those comments start popping up?
Well, I think there's like a certain like almost like numbness that you get where you just like, you just know it's gonna happen. It still happens to this day.
And Justin came publicly to your defense and like said something?
Well, because I know that for him that's hurtful. Because if we have moved on, why can't you? Like, that's kind of just the whole thought process of like, it's just hurtful. It's hurtful, it's bullying. I have had this conversation with a psychiatrist, with a therapist before, because I'm just like, I hate comparison. The whole point of this conversation is that we're talking about how my relationship is being compared to something else, or I'm being compared to another woman, and you know, get the fuck out of the way type of a thing. So,
and I think Hailey, he was America's bad boy sweetheart. And so I think there's ownership people and fans feel over him.
There totally is. And there's also this like, why is it you? There's so much of that I feel like, why you though?
Obviamente aquí también hay un gran porcentaje de envidia. De bueno, yo no puedo estar con él, pero estaba con Selena, ambos eran mis ídolos, entonces comprendo por qué están juntos, yo los admiro, pero cuando viene otra persona, alguien de afuera, es como, hey, tú no te lo mereces.
Because of how intense it was, it made me just very like closed off and like not want to share anything really of myself on the internet. I didn't really want to be open. I would get a pit in my stomach doing interviews because I'm just like, I can't like, it's like being like traumatized, kind of like you're too scared to like speak or open yourself up or say the wrong thing, and then you start to become, I had moments where I felt like I was becoming very like, not like a robot, but like I had to be very meticulous about what I was saying and very agreeable and can't say the wrong thing, and like, and it just starts to become this very like weird way of feeling, where you feel like you just can't be expressive and you can't be yourself. And then that was where it came in with like wanting to do YouTube and trying to have a space within this age of the internet and this age of social media where I can say, this is who I actually am.
Esto de lo que habla Hailey se llama hipervigilancia. Generalmente ocurre más en los ambientes hostiles, quizás si fuiste un niño que creció en una casa violenta. Al estar todo el tiempo pensando que te están evaluando, que si dices algo equivocado te van a regañar, que te están buscando hasta el mínimo defecto para criticarte, para destruirte, pues obviamente tu cuerpo se pone en modo alerta y esto genera ansiedad, dolor de cabeza, cansancio, insomnio. La gente se toma a veces muy a la ligera los comentarios que deja en internet y que manda por DM, pero en realidad es que nadie sabe lo que puede provocar eso en otra persona, así que hay que tener mucho cuidado con lo que se dice en internet. Hablando de ansiedad y ambientes hostiles, les quiero hacer llegar rápidamente un mensaje de nuestro sponsor. Y hablando de terapia, si están buscando un terapeuta, si necesitan un psicólogo, si necesitan a alguien con quien hablar, les recomiendo mucho psicosonline.com. Ellos son un grupo de psicólogos argentinos que los pueden atender desde cualquier parte del mundo en la que estén porque son terapia online. Así que yo les voy a dejar sus links abajo en la descripción del video de su página web y su Instagram para que los revisen y si les gusta lo que ven, pues contáctenlos.
I like woke up one day and I was like, I can't believe we're still doing this.
Because what, you like read a comment?
Yeah, like which again, like I have to stop myself from doing all the time because we know that the internet is a toxic hole. This has been, it's been years now, like 4 years we've been together, like come on. We're still gonna harass me about this shit. There is so much that I could have said. There was so much that I, at times, was like this close to saying, and I just felt like there's so many things that were happening where it's also like there's a time and a place, and there's also a time and a place to let other people express what they need to express and like go through their feelings and emotions, and like I just felt like there were certain times if I was going to say something, it was going to make things way worse and not be beneficial. Again, it was going to be my word against someone else's, against a bunch of other people, and it would just not be beneficial. And I've struggled with that I had struggled with that for a long time. Like I would talk to my therapist and be like, but it's not fair that people think that this is what happened when this is really what happened. And then you get into a cycle of like, again, feeling the need to explain yourself. And for me, it's not even about explaining myself, it's about people knowing the truth. because there's a truth.
Otra cosa que me pareció interesante que dijo, obviamente en el fondo refiriéndose a Selena y a ese momento en el que sacó Lose You to Love Me, la canción de despedida para Justin y para esta relación, en donde dice como que me reemplazaste en 2 meses, o sea, no puedo creerlo, y me hiciste creer que era mi culpa. Hailey dice que en ese momento estuvo a punto de decir algo, que estuvo así de poquito de decir algo, pero que no dijo nada porque eso también significaba no respetar el derecho de la otra persona a expresar sus sentimientos. Y pues a mí eso me parece admirable. Si es que realmente las cosas fueron así, pues es bastante maduro de su parte para ser una chica tan joven, porque Selena es mucho mayor que ella. Y si fuera otra, capaz que salía a decir, mira, no, te equivocaste. O sea, ustedes ya habían terminado, bla, bla, bla.
You explain what happened when you were taking photos on the red carpet with your husband at the Met Gala in 2021.
Oh, and people were screaming? So, yes, I could hear everyone screaming. And again, I think there's a certain part of you that has a numbness of just like, I was like really surprised. I could kind of hear it, but I didn't know if that's what was really going on until I saw the video after. The whole thing of everybody being like, oh, he's trying to tell her not to cry, that was not true. It wasn't making me cry. Although it's a very disrespectful thing to do towards anybody, I felt like I had something in my eye. That's just what goes to show you how out of context things can be seen. When he's like trying to help me, I'm like, I feel like there's something in my eye. Do you see something in my eye? And I'm going like this, and he's like, no, you're good. I think seeing the video back after made me like, damn, like that sucks. That's the energy people are like putting out. They've never ruined anything for me. They're not ruining my life. They're not ruining my happiness. And that, I think, is really the win of the whole thing. You're actually not taking anything away from me. So that's what I just keep stepping forward with. It's like, you can't take this away from me. You cannot take away my happiness, my relationship, my business, my career. Like, you can't. You can try and you can be mad about it, but it doesn't change anything, is my point.
Hay un momento en donde Hailey cuenta que no puede agradarle a todo el mundo y que cuando eres alguien con una plataforma o incluso una persona en la vida real, es imposible que todo el mundo te ame.
What has been your lowest moment since all of this began?
When things can get really dark and you can start having thoughts of like it not being worth it anymore or not wanting to be here anymore, which I have had before in the past, and coming out of that, I think it's really important. A support system is like the most important thing, for sure. I do think sometimes you need to express it and you need to go to someone who is going to feel safe for you and support you in those thoughts, not make you feel like you're crazy or that you're wrong for feeling dark and deep and heavy. There's also this like kind of weird twisted thing where I'm like, I don't get to feel that way because I have an amazing life and I'm so blessed and I'm so fortunate. So like, it's almost like my dialogue in my head feels like, get the fuck over it. Like, you don't get to feel that way because there are people in this world that are really struggling and you're not. Like, that's sometimes how I feel like I talk to myself, because I'm like, get over it, like, you're fine, that kind of a thing. And I've had to really try to be more gentle with myself.
Luego Hailey cuenta que fue a un lugar a hacer terapia, una terapia de 7 días en donde no tienes teléfono y estás ahí horas y horas hablando de tus traumas y tus problemas, tipo como si fuera un rehab, una rehabilitación emocional. Y ahí habló de este asunto de no defenderse ante los demás, de no hablar por ella misma, y se dio cuenta de que todo eso se resume a la personalidad de su mamá, que es una mujer muy gentil, muy pasiva, que no se defiende y que jamás confrontaba a los demás y decía lo que ella quería, y que es un patrón de comportamiento que ella está superando y tratando de romper. Recordemos que lo que vemos en casa, sobre todo los primeros 4 años de la vida de alguien, es lo que forma tu personalidad, la personalidad que tenemos al día de hoy. Obviamente puedes mejorarla, puedes cambiar siempre con terapia o trabajando en ti mismo, tratando de ser una mejor persona, pero lo que vives hasta los 4 años en tu vida impacta muchísimo tu personalidad cuando creces.
What would you say to her fan?
The first thing I would say is you're not obligated to like me. But I believe that no matter what, there can always be mutual respect between people. And to me that means just you don't have to say anything. You don't have to like me, but you don't have to say anything either. Because behind this person that you're looking at on a screen is a person with a brain and a heart and emotions and issues that I face.
At any point did Justin, or literally anyone, ever ask his ex to help put an end to the harassment that her fans put you through?
No. What I will say is that she has been in this industry much longer than I have, and maybe there's something that she knows about, like it wouldn't fix anything.
I think like a nice little heart on your TikTok could end it all.
The thing is too is like I think that like everyone is just trying to like create separation, even though there's clearly like not always separation. I have no expectation. I would never expect someone to do that for me. Like, she doesn't owe me anything. I don't owe, neither of us owe anybody anything except like respect. I respect her a lot. And I think that like there's just no expectations. If that was something that she felt was necessary, then that would be amazing. But I just, yeah, I respect her. There's no drama personally.
Y la verdad, la respuesta de Hailey es como si Selena jamás hubiese dicho algo, pero sí lo hizo. Quizás no por 4 años, pero sí lo hizo.
I am grateful for the response that the song is getting. I'm so grateful. However, I do not stand for women tearing women down. So if you're my fans, don't be rude to anybody, please. Don't go off and say things that you just feel in the moment. And just please, for me, know that that's not my heart.
Have you guys ever spoken?
Yes.
After your marriage?
Yes. So that's why I'm like, it's all respect, it's all love. That's also why I feel like, well, if everybody on our side knows what happened and we're good and we could walk away from it with clarity and respect, then like,
right,
that's fine.
As long as you know you're good, that's really all that matters.
Which had brought me a lot of peace. And I'm like, hey, we know what happened.
Pero otra vez uno nunca sabe la verdad la saben ellos tres, nadie más. Pero algo que sí tengo que decir y que me molesta es que la gente hace de este asunto una pelea entre 2 mujeres por un hombre y llaman a Hailey la otra y que si se lo robó como que... A ver, como si Justin no pudiera tomar sus propias decisiones y no estuviera grandecito para tomar la decisión de estar con quien él quiera estar. Claramente, si Justin y Selena hubiesen querido volver y se hubiesen querido casar y todo eso habría pasado porque son adultos todos. Hailey no es una bruja que le hizo un hechizo a Justin y pobrecito, él cayó en el hechizo y se tuvo que ir y abandonar al amor de su vida. No, Justin se fue porque quiso irse. O sea, nadie te roba a nadie. Tenemos que dejar de perpetuar esa narrativa porque eso quiere decir que los hombres infieles entonces siempre vuelven y siempre los vamos a perdonar porque no es culpa de ellos. En realidad fue culpa de la otra. No, la gente toma sus decisiones porque quiere. Así que cuéntenme, ¿qué les pareció todo esto? Por cierto, notarán que no salgo en este video. Ya estoy un poco mejor, mi voz está como al 85%. Sigo enferma en tratamiento. Pero esta vez no es que no salgo por eso, esta vez no salgo por una razón muy emocionante que luego entenderán y estoy segura de que les va a encantar. Así que bueno, vienen cosas. Saben que pueden apoyar este canal dándole like, suscribiéndose, dándole clic a la campanita para que YouTube les avise cada vez que subo video y no se pierdan ninguno. Por allá abajo está el botón de gracias si quieren colaborar económicamente con este proyecto, con lo que quieran, si es que quieren. Si pueden, compartan este video en sus redes sociales o con sus amigos a los que les interesa el tema. Y muchísimas gracias por ver. Bye bye. Los quiero. Chau chi.